Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Huskers and Enemy Territory. Today, I was going to talk about the Minnesota Vikings versus the Seattle Seahawks. Um, in the overall history of the two teams, the Seahawks lead the actual series 13 wins to 5 for the Vikings. Last year, on October 10th, 2020, the Vikings lost 26 to 27 in Seattle, which really pissed me off because for whatever reason now I feel like the Seattle Seahawks are kind of like a de facto kind of rival of the Vikings, since the NFL and really wants the Vikings to play Seattle every freaking year or whatever. Um, but sorry about the tangent, but that's just my little thought on it. But and in get back on task in 12 to 19, so 2 years ago. The Vikings also lost 30 to 37 in Seattle. Once again, in Seattle. Uh, See the reoccurring theme that I put on my paper. I said reoccurring theme yet, laughing out loud. The last game that was actually in Minnesota was in January 10th of 2016, which of course it was the famous Blair Walsh missed field goal, missed from I believe the 28-yard line, and they ended up losing that game 10-9. That was actually also the game where during the coin flip, the GOAT, well, at least the GOAT for Minnesota Vikings fans, Bud Grant came out in a freaking t-shirt, and I believe it was like -10 out or whatever, and I think everyone just was like, "Whoa, what's this dude doing?" You know what I mean? Like, but that's how I think Bud Grant was. I mean, looking back, I believe my dad would tell me that sometimes in the games when it was just like super cold out, you would see Bud Grant in just like a t-shirt or even like just a long sleeve shirt or whatever. He just wouldn't be wearing coats or whatever during the game. So that's kind of a shout out to Bud Grant. But I would love to like hear like some of the stories that like some of the older Vikings players would have about him. But man, that just kind of stood out to me looking back at that game when it was played a few years ago. I just remember seeing Bud Grant, and I really thought the Vikings were just going to annihilate the Seattle Seahawks that game. But for whatever reason, we just couldn't get the offense going, and they ended up beating us on a field goal. So, but getting back to the video, some of the key departures for both squads. Seattle lost Shaquille Griffin, David Moore. I think he is more of like a third wide receiver for them, but still kind of a big departure. Quentin Dunbar, cornerback. Let's see. Some of the additions that they gained was a right guard from Gabe Jackson from the Raiders and Alden Smith. I believe he last year he played for the Dallas Cowboys, I want to say. Some of the key departures for the Minnesota Vikings: Kyle Rudolph, kicker Dan Bailey, defensive tackle Shamar Stephen, uh, uh, left tackle Riley Reef, and some of the key additions for the Minnesota Vikings were will be Patrick Peterson from Arizona, Mac Alexander, he's coming back from Cincinnati, Dalvin Tomlinson from the Giants, I believe that's where he played. Xavier Rhodes, he'll be replacing Ant Harris at the safety position, and the last but not least, Brashad Breeland, and he's coming from the Chiefs, which I feel like he's a pretty big pickup. Looked like in some situations that he had like a PFF grade of like when quarterbacks were passing at him, they had a PFF grade of like 50 or whatever, and that's just insane for a cornerback. So I almost feel like the Vikings might have Rashad Breeland, Mac Alexander, and Patrick Peterson as the starting cornerbacks. I do believe that Cam Dantzler will step up and probably get a lot of playing time, but I almost feel like that'll be our starting quarterback or whatever positions. Um, Now, keys to winning the game for the Vikings: limit Russell Wilson in the scrambling game. Year after year, Russell Wilson kind of kills the Vikings with the scrambling ability and passing the ball down for like huge plays down the field. I don't know how many times in the games that they played against Seattle where like even not even like passing the ball down the field either. Like he'll just run. Like I can't remember if it was last year or the year before in 2019 where he had like a 30 or 40-yard just scramble all the way down to the end of the field. So we got to really limit those types of big plays by Russell Wilson. Also, we need to try and limit DJ Metcalf to under 100 yards receiving and keep him from having a huge game. Uh, and the Vikings, I feel, will have a great chance to win the game overall. Now, I'm trying to do it a little bit different and have keys to success for the Seattle Seahawks as well. I think the keys for the Seattle Seahawks to win, for them to win the game will be frustrating Kirk Cousins, make him turn over the ball, get him in situations where they're sacking him and just getting kind of underneath his skin. Also to kind of make the Vikings be one dimensional, maybe just only making them have Dalvin Cook beat them, you know what I mean? Like just kind of stifle the passing game and whatnot. And I think that will be one of the biggest keys of success for the Seattle Seahawks against the Vikings. Overall, though, I believe that the Vikings adding key positions in the defense, like Patrick Peterson and Dalvin, or not Dalvin, sorry. Yeah, it is Dalvin. Dalvin Tomlinson from the Giants, and also adding Christian Darrisaw and Wyatt Davis to the offensive line. The Vikings are posed to have a victory in Minneapolis, and I'm not really sure what the score will be, but my prediction that I wrote down was 27-14. I think the big factor in it too is the crowd. I know that last year, being a down year and not being allowed to have like people in the stadium, I think a lot of the games kind of got away from our team, and I almost feel like if at some of our home games, if we actually did have a home crowd cheering on the Vikings, we might have been able to squeak out a couple wins just from that factor of like having the crowd kind of boost morale and whatnot. But I really do feel like that can be a factor, especially being that it'll be the third game of the year, and people will just be almost clamoring to kind of cheer on the Vikings. It'll be a fun game to watch, I think, too, especially considering it'll be in the freaking not the Metrodome, but U.S. Bank Stadium. So yeah, I think the Vikings will probably win that game. I say right now 27-14, but it could be a close one where it's like 27-24 and we only win by a field goal. It's such a Vikings thing to do, but that's kind of my thought on that. Little in-housing note. I think tomorrow, or not tomorrow, but Friday, I'll be starting a what is like the key, like, I don't know how we really put it on Twitter, but almost like what factors, might be, how do we put it? It was like basically, what are the key factors of each team for winning during the season, and or like what are kind of the shortcomings of each team for the upcoming season as well. So like I was going to start with Illinois since that's going to be the Nebraska's first opponent of the year. I don't know what my buddy on Twitter will be. I think his Twitter handle is Hawkeye Mike. But yeah, he kind of brought up the idea of doing it just, I think, writing it out on Twitter, but I think I'm going to do it as videos for you guys to kind of critique and see what you think of my opinion on Illinois and the rest of the Big Ten. So I'm going to do kind of just a Big Ten overall, like key to success and maybe like what shortcomings each college team has in terms of the Big Ten. I think it might be a fun video to do, honestly. Plus, it'll kind of break up the monotony of doing, Nebraska versus, Oklahoma, Nebraska versus Iowa, Minnesota Vikings versus, the Seattle Seahawks. Since, the Minnesota Twins kind of suck this year, so I'm not really going to do a lot of videos on them other than maybe an upcoming, hey, we need to trade everyone away because everyone on our team sucks. But I get, I'm off topic a little bit. But yeah, so Friday I'll probably start with the Illini, and I'll just make my way through the whole Big Ten. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment on my videos. Don't forget, I'll be giving a shirt or stickers or something away on my 100th subscriber. That's coming quick. We just hit 83 subscribers on my channel. So thank you everyone that has liked, subscribed, and commented on my channel so far. And don't forget, as always, go Big Red.